Welcome to Mind Research Rewired. We unveil scientific truths to transform confusion into clear thinking. Unlock a sharper, more effective you based on proven research. Subscribe now and elevate your life.
We've all been sold this incredibly romanticized image of how a billion-dollar company actually starts.
Oh, 100%. The whole cinematic coffee shop moment.
Exactly. The classic narrative where you're sitting there, you take a sip of your flat white, you look out the window, and boom, the universe just hands you a perfect, fully formed business model.
Right. It's clean. It's sudden.
Yeah, and it basically implies that visionary founders are just like walking lightning rods, waiting for a strike of pure genius.
I mean, it is a very comforting narrative. People absolutely love the Eureka myth because it takes the brutal, completely unpredictable nature of free markets and frames it as destiny.
Right, like you were chosen.
Exactly. It makes success look like this magical gift rather than a rigorous, systematic process of observation.
But when you actually step into the reality of building a company from the ground up, you realize the landscape is just, well, it's anything but magical. It's chaotic, it's noisy, and honestly, it's overwhelming.
Chaos is the default state of a startup.
Totally. So today is Sunday, July 26, 2026. And if you are a founder currently in the trenches, wrestling with supply chains, managing a chaotic technical build, just trying to chart a course for your brand, this deep dive is built specifically for you.
Really is.
Our mission today is to completely rewire how you spot business opportunities. We are unpacking Robert A. Barron's highly influential research, Opportunity Recognition as Pattern Recognition.
Such a phenomenal paper.
It's game-changing. We are going to permanently dismantle the myth of the Eureka moment. By the end of our time today, you will have the cognitive tools to see massive market-dominating opportunities that your competitors are staring right at, but just like completely failing to recognize.
They're totally blind to them.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this. Where do these massive market shifts actually originate if we're just tossing the lightning strike theory completely out the window?
So they originate from the convergence of shifting macroeconomic and social conditions. Barron's core thesis is that opportunities don't magically materialize out of thin air. They are generated by a really complex, highly specific juxtaposition of changes happening out there in the real world. We are looking at simultaneous shifts in technology, economics, political regulation, and demographics.
So it's a collision of all these different worlds.
Exactly. A new business opportunity comes into existence at a very specific point in time because a confluence of conditions has formed that simply did not exist together previously. It's really a matter of pattern synthesis, recognizing that independent variables are suddenly interacting.
I hear the theory, but I have to push back a bit on the absolute nature of it. I mean, isn't there still a massive element of sheer blind luck in entrepreneurship?
Well,
Like you look at a founder who just happened to launch a remote work software tool, say 6 months before a global shift in working habits. You can't engineer timing that perfectly. Some of this has to be the luck of where you happen to be standing when the music stops, right?
Look, timing is absolutely critical. I'll give you that. But attributing it purely to luck implies that success is randomly distributed. And the research demonstrates that opportunity recognition is highly concentrated among individuals who are processing information differently.
Okay, differently how?
To illustrate this, consider the evolution of wheeled luggage.
Like just standard suitcases with the built-in wheels and extendable handles.
Yes. Now, the timeline on this is wild. Airline flight crews, pilots, and flight attendants were using primitive versions of wheeled luggage for decades before it ever hit the mass consumer market.
Wait, for decades?
For 20 or 30 years. Aviation professionals were rolling their bags past millions of struggling passengers in terminals every single day.
That is staggering. So the physical prototype was just hiding in plain sight, rolling past thousands of entrepreneurs who were lugging heavy bags.
Precisely. And it wasn't discovered by a lucky founder who just, tripped over a pilot's bag. It became a massive consumer category only when an entrepreneur finally observed and synthesized 3 highly specific changing conditions.
Okay, what were the conditions?
First, Airline deregulation and cheaper flights led to a massive spike in passenger volume. Second, because of that volume, airports had to expand physically, meaning passengers were suddenly walking vastly longer distances to reach their gates.
Right, the terminals got massive.
Exactly. And third, airlines started changing baggage check policies, creating huge friction and costs for travelers to check bags.
So the pain point just became unbearable at the exact moment the infrastructure physically shifted.
Yes. What's fascinating here is the psychology of seeing the invisible. The physical product existed. The demographic shift was happening. The infrastructural changes were public knowledge.
It was all right there.
The variables were all present, but the opportunity was dormant. It was just waiting for a brain equipped to synthesize those separate vectors into a single, obvious solution.
That reframes the entire concept of an idea for me. Because if spotting opportunities is just about synthesizing external vectors, how do you actually train your brain to filter the signal from the noise? Like, how do you build that cognitive radar?
So, Barron's research identifies 3 distinct pillars of the entrepreneurial mind that allow for this high-level pattern recognition.
Let's hear them.
The first is active search. This is a deliberate, systematic scan of your environment. It is not casually reading the front page of the Wall Street Journal over coffee.
Right. Everyone does that.
Exactly. The most effective founders are actively digging into highly specialized sources, obscure trade publications, and deep personal networks to surface data that the mainstream market is totally ignoring.
So you have to proactively hunt for the anomalies. You have to go deep.
You really do. Now, the second pillar is alertness. Unlike active search, alertness is a state of passive receptiveness. It's fueled by a founder's baseline cognitive capacity and creativity.
Like a background process.
Yes, exactly. Think of it as a background app running in your brain's operating system, constantly scanning your daily interactions for changed conditions or friction points.
Okay. And the third?
The third pillar is prior knowledge. This is your raw material. The broader and more varied your life and work experiences are across different markets and industries, the higher the quality of the opportunities your brain will actually be able to synthesize.
Let me jump in here, because I'm looking at this from the perspective of a founder who is currently operating at absolute maximum capacity.
Oh, do I know where you're going with this?
Right. When you are dealing with the unrelenting chaos of building a company, putting out fires, managing a super fragile cash flow, hiring, firing, who actually has the bandwidth for a systematic active search?
It's tough.
If a founder is spending 4 hours a day scouring obscure trade journals for hidden market vectors, their actual core business is going to burn to the ground. Is this active search pillar a strict prerequisite for success?
That is the ultimate founder's dilemma right there, balancing execution with exploration. And Barron's research offers a highly practical synthesis here. The data actually reveals that if a founder's alertness and prior knowledge are sufficiently elevated, they can bypass the need for formal, systematic, active search.
Wait, really? So they can rely entirely on the background radar?
Yes. They achieve a state researchers call passive search. Because their mental frameworks are so incredibly well developed, they naturally absorb, filter, and interpret critical information in real time.
So they don't have to carve out a dedicated 4-hour block to go hunting for it?
Exactly. The text provides a phenomenal comparative case study on this. Boyanet versus hands-off.
Oh, I love this one. Set the stage for that comparison. What were the stakes?
So both were high-tech startups operating in the same volatile era of early personal computing. Hands-off developed and sold physical, hardware, anti-theft devices to secure personal computers to desks.
Like actual steel cables and locks.
Right. They had a product, they had a solid market, but they completely failed to maintain their macro alertness. They were so heads down on execution that they ignored a massive macroeconomic shift, which was the drastic, rapid deflation in the retail price of personal computers.
Because the pain point they were solving was tied to the replacement value of the machine. If a PC costs $4,000, a corporation will absolutely buy a $100 physical lock to secure it.
Exactly.
But when the price of a PC plummets to, like, $400, the friction of managing all those physical keys and locks costs way more than just replacing a stolen machine.
Spot on. Their market literally evaporated beneath their feet, and they were entirely blind to it because they weren't processing the macroeconomic data.
Ouch. And what about Boyanet?
Boyanet, conversely, is a masterclass in passive search and high alertness. They initially set out just to build internet storefronts to sell their own proprietary software.
Just for themselves.
Yeah. But as they built out this infrastructure, their alertness and prior knowledge allowed them to perceive a much larger market vector. They realized that every other software company in the world was going to need this exact same e-commerce infrastructure.
Ah, they recognized that the shovel was vastly more valuable than the gold.
Exactly. They immediately pivoted from a direct-to-consumer software company into a B2B infrastructure provider, building storefronts for other enterprises.
That's brilliant.
They adapted perfectly because their passive search mechanisms were constantly updating their understanding of what the broader market actually needed.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If the founders of Boyanet naturally saw that pivot without a formal search strategy, their brains had to be processing market data fundamentally differently than the founders of Hands-Off.
Yes, 100%.
So how is this information physically organizing in a founder's head? Like, what is the actual cognitive mechanism that allows one person to see the pivot and another to steer the ship straight into an iceberg?
This is the cognitive science at the absolute heart of the paper. Human beings organize information through two primary mechanisms, prototypes and exemplars. Understanding how these interact is the key to rewiring your business instincts.
Let's define the mechanics of both. Give me the breakdown.
Let's start with prototypes. A prototype is an idealized, abstract mental model of a concept. Cognitive science shows this is processed primarily in the left hemisphere of your brain.
The analytical side.
Right. The left hemisphere is brilliant at stripping away chaotic, specific details to find the underlying rule. So, a business prototype is your ultimate abstracted blueprint of what an effective product or a viable market opportunity looks like.
Okay.
It is the essential DNA of an idea, completely devoid of gritty real-world context.
So it's the pure theory of the business. And exemplars.
Exemplars are the exact opposite, processed in the right hemisphere. The right hemisphere focuses on context, nuance, and episodic memory. Exemplars are highly specific, individual, granular examples stored in your memory.
Not idealized at all, then.
No, they aren't idealized blueprints. They are the messy, real-world events you've personally lived through. It's the memory of a specific marketing campaign that went viral, a specific vendor who breached a contract, or, a specific piece of code that caused a server crash.
Let me build an analogy here to see if I am mapping this cognitive science correctly to the founder's daily experience.
Go for it.
I'm picturing a founder trying to build a really complex structure out of Legos. When you are a first-time novice founder, your right hemisphere is basically just collecting a random bucket of loose, unconnected Lego bricks. Those are your exemplars.
I like this.
You have a red brick from a failed marketing push, a weird wheel from a customer service dispute. You have all these isolated, messy experiences. But an expert founder, someone with incredibly rich prior knowledge, has developed a highly refined left brain blueprint. They possess the prototype.
Yes.
So when the market hands them a completely random new blue Lego brick, they don't just see a useless piece of plastic. They look at their mental blueprint and instantly process, oh, this specific brick snaps perfectly into the engine of the structure I am currently building.
That is...
The blueprint allows them to instantly synthesize seemingly unrelated exemplars into a highly functional business model.
That analogy perfectly captures the cognitive mechanism. The prototype is the filtering blueprint. The exemplars are the raw material. And the most formidable founders leverage both hemispheres seamlessly.
Do we have a real-world example of this Lego building?
We do. The paper highlights Judy Aidner-Clark, the founder of the Baby Einstein Company, to demonstrate this.
Oh, wow. Disney eventually acquired them for a massive valuation, right? How did she leverage this cognitive framework?
She observed two distinct demographic exemplars, two raw Lego bricks, in your analogy, floating around in the culture. First, demographic data showed parents were having children much later in life, well into their 30s and 40s.
Okay, demographic shift.
Second, these older parents were highly educated, affluent, and desperate to provide rigorous intellectual stimulation for their infants.
But those are just isolated sociological facts until someone built a structure with them.
Exactly. But Judy possessed a very specific, highly refined prototype because of her prior knowledge. She was a professional educator. Her left brain had a crystal clear blueprint of what effective, age-appropriate educational engagement actually looked like.
Ah, so she had the blueprint ready to go.
She simply snapped her teacher prototype together with these new demographic exemplars. The result was an entirely new multi-million-dollar category of intellectually stimulating media specifically engineered for infants.
She used her internal blueprint to organize the external chaos. That is so powerful.
There is another historical case in the research that illustrates this beautifully. Chester Carlson, the inventor of the Xerox 914 copier.
Okay, take us back.
In the mid-20th century, the entire business world knew that hand-copying documents was a massive bottleneck. Countless engineers were desperately trying to build a better machine, but Carlson succeeded where others failed because his prior knowledge gave him a rare dual prototype.
What were his prototypes?
He held both a law degree and a technical engineering degree.
Oh man, that is an incredibly potent combination. So he had the blueprint of the consumer's pain point, the legal industry's desperate need for exact dry copies, and the blueprint of the physical chemistry required to actually achieve it.
Exactly. He used those two highly developed prototypes to aggressively filter his active search. When he looked at potential solutions, he didn't waste years chasing technologies that didn't fit his mental model of a commercially viable dry copy machine.
He had a cognitive shield.
Yes. His prototypes acted as a cognitive shield against the noise, allowing him to bypass the dead ends and solve one of the biggest office productivity problems of the century.
That concept of the prototype acting as a filter is vital because it saves a founder from chasing every single shiny object in the market. Which brings us to, I think, a critical inflection point in this deep dive.
Let's go there.
If refining these mental blueprints is the ultimate advantage, what does the research say about the performance gap between first-time founders and repeat entrepreneurs? Like, does prior experience automatically generate a better prototype?
The data on this is really striking. Experienced repeat entrepreneurs possess mental blueprints that are vastly richer, highly structured, and ruthlessly focused on existential business metrics.
The existential metrics.
Yeah. When a veteran founder evaluates a new market vector, their prototype demands to see a clear, accelerated path to positive cash flow and a direct solution to a highly painful customer need.
And how do the mental models of novice founders compare? Because I feel like I've made some of these rookie mistakes.
The research indicates that novice founders have highly porous prototypes. They are easily distracted and become totally obsessed with what Barron terms sheer newness or novelty.
The shiny object syndrome.
Totally. They frequently fall into the cognitive trap of assuming that because a piece of technology is advanced, complex, or unprecedented, it inherently constitutes a viable business opportunity.
Yeah, we see this constantly in the startup world. It's the classic trap of building a brilliant technological solution and then wandering the desert looking for a problem to actually apply it to.
It happens all the time. Veteran founders understand that opportunity recognition is rarely a singular event. It is a gradual, iterative search process. The evolution of Expedia is a prime example Barron uses.
Expedia didn't start out as the giant we know today, right?
Not at all. Expedia did not launch as the monolithic, all-encompassing travel platform. It evolved through iterative pattern synthesis. Initially, the founders simply observed the intersection of rising personal computer ownership and the severe friction of booking flights over the phone through travel agents.
So they just focused on flights.
They launched by focusing exclusively on cheap online airfare. As they secured cash flow and accumulated more market exemplars, their mental blueprint expanded. They identified the adjacent need for hotel bookings and integrated that.
And then rental cars and so on.
Exactly. Their prototypes scaled in lockstep with their actual operational experience.
Okay, I have to pause here and challenge the logical conclusion of this data. Because if experience continuously hones and perfects the prototype, making it more ruthless and efficient, shouldn't veteran founders and deeply experienced venture capitalists have a near-perfect hit rate?
You would think so.
Right. Does the seasoned player just inherently win every single time?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of cognitive science, we uncover a massive paradox that should give every emerging founder listening right now a tremendous amount of optimism.
I love optimism. Hit me.
Beyond a certain threshold of experience, the performance of highly specialized experts, including veteran venture capitalists, actually begins to decline.
Wait, their ability to pick winners deteriorates. What is the cognitive mechanism causing that decay?
It is referred to as the curse of expertise, or cognitive entrenchment. When a professional utilizes the same mental blueprint for a decade with high success, their left brain prototype becomes rigid and completely inflexible.
It calcifies.
Yes. They transition from active pattern recognition into automatic heuristic thinking. So when a truly disruptive, paradigm-shifting anomaly emerges in the market, one that fundamentally contradicts their established blueprint, They physically cannot process it as an opportunity.
Wow.
They reject the raw data because it just doesn't fit the mold of their past victories.
To borrow the Lego analogy again, they are basically trying to jam a radical new shape into a rigid, decades-old mold. When the piece doesn't fit effortlessly, they just throw it away, completely missing the fact that the piece is actually the foundation of a whole new industry.
That is the existential danger of allowing your prototypes to calcify into prisons. As a founder, your mental blueprints cannot be static monuments to your past successes. They must be living, adaptable frameworks, ready to be aggressively revised the moment the macroeconomic vectors shift.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you, the founder listening right now? We need to synthesize this dense cognitive psychology into immediate street-level execution. You are building a company today, and you need leverage today.
Let's give it to them.
Here is your Do It Today segment. We have extracted 2 hyper-tactical directives from Barron's research that you can execute the minute this deep dive ends to begin rewiring your entrepreneurial radar.
Action item number 1. You must ruthlessly audit your novelty bias. Look at the primary product feature, marketing channel, or technical build you are authorizing this week. Ask yourself and demand a brutally honest answer. Are you deploying capital into this because it is technologically novel, complex, and intellectually stimulating like a novice founder?
Just because it's cool.
Right. Or are you building it because it provides a direct, measurable solution to a painful customer need with a clear path to cash flow like a veteran? If your motivation is rooted in novelty, you need to freeze the build and revise your blueprint immediately.
Cut the shiny objects and get back to the core mechanics of the business. I love that. Action item number 2. You must intentionally expand your exemplar library.
This is huge.
The data definitively proves that the broader your exposure to varied experiences, the more potent your pattern synthesis becomes. You need to dump entirely new Lego bricks into your right hemisphere. So today, force yourself to step entirely outside of your industry bubble.
Go somewhere totally unrelated.
Exactly. If you run a B2B SaaS platform, go read a highly technical breakdown of agricultural supply chain logistics. Attend a seminar on a subject you literally know nothing about. You have to aggressively feed your brain foreign data structures if you want to construct more resilient business prototypes.
That intentional cross-pollination is the exact mechanism that fuels the passive search superpower we talked about earlier. By diversifying your cognitive inputs, you are quietly loading your subconscious radar with the latent variables you will need to synthesize tomorrow's opportunities.
All right, as we bring this deep dive in for a landing, we have 2 critical self-reflection questions for you. We want you to analyze your current operational mindset, and we want to see your specific answers, pushbacks, and aha moments in the YouTube comment section below.
Definitely jump in the comments.
Question 1. Look at your specific industry today. What are 2 seemingly disconnected vectors, perhaps a shifting demographic trend, and a new regulatory policy that everyone else is treating as totally separate, but that you could synthesize into a single solution?
I can't wait to read those.
And question 2. Are you currently suffering from cognitive entrenchment? Are you so stubbornly locked into the prototype of your last big win that you are dismissing a massive anomaly emerging right in front of your eyes?
It's a tough question, but you have to ask it.
Drop your answers in the comments below. And if this deep dive shifted your perspective today, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are here every week bringing you the cognitive leverage you need to build your empire.
I want to leave you with one final lingering thought. In the text, Barron references the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who wrote about possessing a passionate sense of the potential, the ability to look at the world and constantly see what is possible.
That's a great phrase.
It is. But Kierkegaard also warned that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. When you successfully rewire your brain using these frameworks, you will start seeing viable opportunities absolutely everywhere. The noise will fade, and the converging vectors will become incredibly obvious to you.
But that creates a whole new problem, doesn't it?
It creates a new, terrifying challenge. True entrepreneurial power isn't just the ability to see 100 different possibilities. It is having the ruthless discipline to choose just one and let the other 99 pass you by.
The discipline to survive your own vision. I love that. Stop waiting for the lightning strike. Go out there, gather your raw materials, refine your blueprints, and engineer your own storm. Until next time, keep building.